Okay, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone!
Hey everyone.
How exciting! We're super excited today. We are finally here. We made it. We've been
Made
talking
it.
so much about your Dreamwall and the behind the scenes, the people, the hows, the who's, and we're here today. And I'm super honored and excited today to just edify this person who has been here. We are the new era of vision boarding, and of
Yes.
course we cannot do things without having community and without having our team and just the vision and the dreams. And we're now about this upcoming March, we're going to be 4 years, and we're just honored to be here and just so much to tell you.
Yes.
It's so much good stuff to happen. And what I want to do before we get into everything in these next couple of episodes, for the next year, for this whole year, these next 12 months, we're just going to be coming in and just sharing with you guys our journey and what we've been up to and just accomplishments, and even like from quitting to like just magnifying just so much influence and power, and just setting ourselves up for the future. And so with that being said, I don't want to take too much of my time, because I am here today also to introduce you to the lovely Chelsea, who is our Texas executive, who's just running everything from Texas, from like just killing it down there and just doing the best that she can do. And also a mother, a wife, somebody that I look up to, one of my partners. Whenever I'm personally going through something, she's just there to hear me, and vice versa. And so, Chelsea, I would love for you to introduce yourself, who you are, because we've gotten some crazy questions over these last couple of years. Who are you? Like, who are you? What are you up to? How did you make it to where you are right now? And I'm gonna give you the floor now.
Oh my God. It's like when you talk, I'm like, what's that? And hi everyone. Just like she said, my name is Chelsea. I am the other face of your dream wall. And it's funny because I can't tell the story of who I am without adding this, right? Adding this part of the journey of your dream wall into it, just because it's like part of it, the way you and I met. Like, hey, we met at a trip. We were seriously on a vacation when we met, for my son's eighth birthday in Mexico. And then from there, it's just like our friendship just grew. And then we would just see each other and see
Yeah,
each other
yeah,
and tag each other on posts and things like that. And then it's like one day we just started a conversation because I'm like into events and women empowerment, and she's doing the same thing. And I'm like, but I'm doing them in Spanish, she's doing them in English. And then we're just like, how about we just do this together? And then from there, that just flourished into something that when you said Texas, it's like now we are not only the fact that we're grateful to be in other states
yeah,
and in other countries, but um, now that you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, I'm here. And that's something that you're gonna hear. You're
yeah.
gonna
We
be
want to
part of the
know
journey
how did she make it there? I don't know.
because
She's from a lot of different places, which I
you
would
know
love
it.
to hear as
You
well.
know it. And then now just to be here and starting anew and starting something over completely clean, brand new slate. Not
Yeah,
even a second chance. This is just like this is just a whole nother vibe and move. But you guys would know how we did that turning page in our lives for myself and my family, but then how to incorporate who we are. And speaking of that vision, right? Because we want to speak of what's the new era, right? What's the new era of vision boarding? What is this? What's that? We're in January. You often hear people have these New Year's resolutions and start this vision boarding, and then you get ready to clip pictures and things that you want to do for the next year, how you want the next year to look like. And that can look like a lot of things, but then life gets in the way, and then what happens? So with us, what we want to get you guys to know who we are, what we do. In part of that is incorporate our story to
yeah,
it. Like this move to here started 7, 8 years ago. and
Wow.
then just looking things up on
Yeah.
Zillow
Yeah.
or looking things up and then actually coming to the state and visiting and then just looking around and then just randomly, we uprooted our family, got in the RV, came here, and then just decided to look at it and take a try and see.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just like everything starts to pan out and
Yeah.
then it's like let's just do it and then just doors starts to open because you're working towards that
Right. Right.
subconsciously as well. And it's something that for us was not like if my husband would be here on the live, he would be like, yeah, no, he did what? Where we're going? Texas? Where's that? Like, where we going, girl? Where? How do you hear that? Who do you know out there? We don't know anybody out here. We
Right.
actually know one person, but to move and it's just like not have family at all whatsoever. It's just like who would do that? Who's
Right.
doing that? Starting from zero.
Right.
So with that being said, it's like it's that taking that risk, taking that chance for us to do that. And that's what we do here at Your Dream Wall. It's like, okay, we want to work with you from the inside out, right? We want to work with you as an individual to understand what it is if you have a vision, if you have a dream, if you have something irking you inside, or different thoughts, or an idea, or just something you just randomly look at things that you might look at it and think is a sign.
Yeah.
You're walking down the street and now it's like when you see a brand new car and you're like, hey, I never noticed that, but now you notice the car in every corner. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, Texas, and now you see Texas all over the place, or Florida or Puerto Rico or whatever.
Hmm.
People that decide to make these changes. So for me as an individual, it all just started with just an uncomfortableness and just knowing what was out there. Like
Yeah.
I come from the island of Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, where this is where my mom and our parents came to, when
So, so I'm
back in
gonna
the 80s.
so I'm gonna stop you really quick. So you were born there, or were
I
you
was born out there. Yep.
okay? So you
I
were
was born
born
out there.
on an
I was
island.
born in Puerto Rico Island to
Okay.
Dominican parents.
Okay.
So whoever has this, they know that if you're Dominican Puerto Rican, you're both. There's no in between. You're both because you could eat the plátanos, but you also eat the arroz con guandole. So it's like you're both. You're both. And
Okay.
we were sent to both over the summer. It's like you're spending 1 month here, 1 month there. If you've misbehaving, you know that you're gonna get sent over there straight up. Every summer there was no if, and, or buts. That was our summer camp. Like you're being sent to the R and you're gonna wake up like at 5 in the morning with the gallos to go help your grandmother cook and clean. And go outside and look for the guandulas that you're gonna eat and pick them out the pods and clean the rice and
Right. Right.
kill
Right.
the chicken. Like literally, we
Right. Hmm.
grew up doing that. But back then in the 80s, that's what was promoted to our parents. And making the move to here was just the same innate feeling that perhaps my parents had, like, hey, you know what, I need to move and uproot for my family. And that's
Right.
really what you do best was for you and for yours. You sit down and talk about it and
Yeah.
pray on it, and then take an action upon that, and then make that commitment and that decision to keep doing so, because it's going to be a year. It's been a
Yeah.
tough one, many ups and downs, but I'm grateful and welcome it. Every day there's challenges that are going to pop up. There are days that you don't want to do anything. There are days that you're just going to be like, why is this happening? But
Yeah.
then you shake it off. You allow yourself to feel that. You allow yourself to go through that. And then you just shake it off and do what you have to do, because you are faithful to that vision. You are faithful to that commitment that you made to yourself and to one. And that goes throughout any part of life,
Right. Right.
as motherhood, if you're single or not,
Right.
as a kid, as an adult, as you want to lose weight, you want to go on a health journey, you want to whatever that pans out throughout. And you probably, if you're not a type of person that's ever read like a self-help book or personal development book, if you pick one up, these are the things that you're going to start reading about and seeing upon it. Like, oh, okay, what's one thing? And it's almost always that commitment,
Yeah.
that consistency,
Yeah.
that knowing the why, because if you know the why, then the how will come.
Mm.
Knowing knowing why you started, because those are the things that help you shake off whatever it is
Yeah.
to want you to. It's okay, you know, the bad days are gonna come. It could be a whole, like in Spanish I would say a whole streak, a whole racha, you know, like a whole streak of days where it's like, damn, a whole bad hour can turn into a bad minute, can turn into a bad hour, that can turn into
Yeah.
a bad day, that can turn into a bad week, month.
Yeah.
But don't let it be a whole year.
Mm,
Allow yourself to feel that
yeah.
and work through that,
Yeah.
because we have to allow ourselves to do that so that we could understand everything else. And even if we don't understand in that moment, you have to understand enough to know that when the time is right, you'll know. And
Yeah.
you would understand. Like, I can tell you that making the move here, we wanted to move to a specific city, and our deal for a house that we wanted fell through. And then now I understand why that fell through. In
Right. Right.
that moment, I didn't get it. We was just devastated. Like, oh my God, we're not gonna get this house.
Yeah.
Devastated.
Yeah.
But now I get why that didn't happen, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
That moment, those days,
Yeah.
I didn't get it. But
Right.
now I do. Now I'm like, oh, looking back, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that didn't pan out. I'm
Right.
glad that didn't pan out, because
Right.
now it's like, you can put that puzzle piece together. It's like, you have this 5,000 piece puzzle, and then you work on it on a daily, give yourself time. And then it's like that piece that quite don't fit, but then later on fits. And then you see the bigger picture. It's basically like that. And when it comes to speaking vision and doing vision board the way that we are doing so in this new era,
Yeah.
we want you guys to understand what we mean by that new era of vision boarding.
Right.
Vision boarding for us right now is not just meaning you're going to clip pictures and paste them and hope in hopes that whatever you put there happens.
Right.
No, we want you to understand that whatever you choose to put there is because this is what you chose in that moment.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that if it doesn't happen within the next 2, 3, 4 months, you're going
Right.
to look at yourself and feel like, I'm a failure, it didn't happen. Okay, but it didn't. But whatever you put there on that day one that you
Yeah.
thought that's what you wanted, maybe 4 months down the road it's not what you're going to want.
Right.
But you're allowed to take it off and then put something
Absolutely.
new. Or if it did happen, now you can say, hey, I want this to be
Mhm.
the new thing that I want,
Right.
or elevate whatever that was. So let's say, for example, weight loss. It's the beginning of the year. We all want that. You're like, okay, you're not seeing that you're losing weight every day, and you may not have done that workout all week, or you probably went on date night and ate a little bit more, or you celebrated a friend's promotion and you drank a little bit more. You're gonna be up yourself like, oh, you can't outrun a bad diet and think like, oh, I'm gonna run 20 more miles. And no, you're gonna take it a day at a time.
Yeah.
And you may not see that result of maybe pictures you took of yourself that first day. But
Mhm.
if you look at the first day and then day 35, you're like, oh, okay, you can see that change and that progress, and
Yeah.
allow yourself to be like, oh, okay, well, I need to work on this, or I need to work on that,
Yeah.
and pick point it. And
Yeah.
then what we want to do is give you those tools
Yeah.
as your dream wall, as women, mothers,
Mhm.
cousins, friends, enemies, frenemies, as whatever, to give you those tools
Yeah.
for you to say, okay, I can do it too, and have that Me Too mentality, because we're no better than anybody else that's probably going to be watching this later on or right now or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's just taking that decision to want to do something about it and change that. And I think that that's part of that, of when we talk about what is the vision,
Mm,
because we can have a vision that we want for ourselves, but then that can get later on blinded by something,
yeah.
or we can no longer want it, or
Right.
circumstances have changed where we're just like, I don't want that anymore. I've
Yeah.
evolved. I'm a
Yeah.
whole new brand new person, because in this whole journey you're going to be making changes that you're going to be like, you know what, I didn't want that. Because let me tell you, the diets that worked for me when I was 16, when I could have, I used to drink a 20-ounce Coke with these New York bagels that are like, you have half of the bagel bag and like And I
So
could eat that for breakfast. I can't do that anymore. At
so
8,
really
9:30.
so really quick. So that means that you went from the islands to then New so then you came here to the US.
To the
Okay.
US. Yes,
And
ma'am. That's how it started out.
and then how long were you in the East Coast, West Coast?
So for us, we were there too long, in my opinion. So we got to I got to the US. I actually came, my mom sent me out here first. So I was here with not knowing the language by myself,
Oh,
7 year old who was used to, we didn't understand no daylight saving and turning back time. And
yeah,
the funniest thing that I always tell my kids is I used to watch the cartoons in Spanish. So I'm watching Scooby Doo, and now here's Saturday morning, and I don't understand a thing that's happening.
yeah,
And I'm here like, this is not what I'm used to. I
yeah,
come from being outside till the lights are, basically on in the street to being inside every single day and so
yeah,
cold to being able to communicate with everyone around me to now just communicating with whomever was my family in the apartment
yeah,
because we couldn't communicate with anyone because we didn't understand the language.
right.
But passing all those hurdles as
Oh,
kids, I think is just also what shapes us. Then I came across network marketing
yeah.
in
Mm-hmm.
my early 20s, which
Yeah,
is how you and I met
yeah,
with a wonderful travel company. And then we just started traveling. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, okay. Because the norm for us was DRPR, like I said earlier,
yeah,
DRPR back to New
yeah,
York, DRPR back to New York. And that's it. And then once in college, friends are like, yeah, spring break in Florida. And it's like, oh, okay. You see the maps in school because you're
right,
studying, but you're just seeing maps. You've never been to the place, so you can't
right,
put two and two together.
right.
So now, awakened, oh, this is another state, Florida. Okay, great, but you're partying because you're in your 18,
Yeah,
19, 20. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, through the travel company, then it's like, okay, Florida. I want to go to Disney. So now I'm establishing what I know now that it was a bucket list. Now
mm,
I know that. Back then I didn't know it was that.
yeah,
Then you start seeing, oh, well, now I'm meeting other cultures.
right.
After we moved to New York, then we moved to a neighborhood that was predominantly Jamaican. And here I am speaking to people that were the same complexion as my grandfather, but they didn't understand Spanish. And I'm over here like, yeah, man. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not it. That's not the language I thought that was going to come out of your mouth.
Right, right, right,
So
right,
now we're learning about another culture.
right.
So now we're like, what? There's another country out there? Like, it's Jamaica. What do you eat? What do you do? And then you have this accent. And surprisingly enough, I can understand it so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah.
And then that started to evolve. And then as I traveled, and that just opened up my mind more. And I
Good.
started now adding what was a bucket list that I never knew. Like now I know that's what it was. But back then I was just like, I thought
Mhm.
this is just once. But
Yeah.
then it's like, how do I turn these wishes into reality?
That's
I
good.
literally just started Googling and booking it like, whoa, there's flights and it's costing this much.
Right.
Okay, so for spring break, instead of going to Florida, let me go to another part of maybe even DR. Let me just not stay around my area.
Yeah.
Or as New Yorkers, it was funny. I had a cousin that came from Puerto Rico, and he's like,
So you're
so
saying that you grew up in New York after your islands. Okay, gotcha.
in both in
Okay.
all in New York and in the islands. Like we grew up all
Oh,
three places. Like
okay.
every summer, that was we were
Okay.
shipped out. We
Okay.
were shipped out. I feel that now there's more vacations in the
Yeah.
school break with the kids because I never remembered of, we only had the Christmas vacation and then that one day off, which was that Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. But then, spring break or all of that, I don't remember any of that. But
Mhm, mhm.
we were shipped off in the summers. And to just start expanding my brain and just looking like and getting out of
Sure.
just the Bronx also because we were living in the Bronx and it's like, oh, now I'm going to Manhattan. And my cousin who came from Puerto Rico, he's like, so you've never been to the Empire State Building? I was like, let me tell you something. When you live in New York, you're not a tourist. You don't go to you don't go to the Empire State Building. You don't go to the, Ellis Island unless you've done so in a school trip, but
Yeah.
you don't plan to do that. So now here I am exploring my own city And these are little things that, because a lot of times people put in their vision boards, oh, I want to go to Dubai, but they've never been out of their borough.
I like that. Yeah.
Or I want to lose 50 pounds, but you've never, not even exercised. You've never even gone for a walk. So
Yeah.
it's like and then we don't celebrate those little wins. So it's
Yeah,
like I was saying earlier, like if a bad minute can turn to a bad hour, that can turn to a bad day, that can turn to a bad week, we could flip that
yeah, that's
when we
good.
have these tools, right? We can flip that. We can say,
Yeah,
well, hold on, let me allow it to feel it, but then
yeah,
let me turn this bad minute into a good hour, into a good day, and then into a good week, and then a good month, and then a good year. But by celebrating these small wins,
right,
I've never dieted before, and now let's just say, in general, for someone who wants to lose weight, you've never dieted before, but now you are being mindful of the things you put in your body. That's
right.
a win. It's
Absolutely.
something different. It's something that's interrupting your norm.
A habit, right? Like creating a
Uh-huh.
habit, right? A healthy
You've never read a book, but now you at least, I don't, I mean, y'all gonna get to know us pretty soon. You'll know, like, we're gonna start throwing little nuggets here and there, but
yeah.
schools are not meant to want to teach you to like to read. Like, it's
Mm,
way the opposite. Like, being in college, I hated to read, but I had to in order to pass. But it's hard as an adult for you to pick up a book without falling asleep or liking what you're reading.
right.
And so, if you always hear these successful people say, well, read 10 pages a day, but I can't even read a whole full someone's bio link because now I'm turned off. Like, you can't do that, right? So
Right.
these are the little wins that you can start interrupting and catching yourself to
Mm,
do new things so that hello. You see, this is what happens when you're live. This is the rawness, the realness. You're gonna hear kids, you're gonna hear the husbands. You're gonna, hey, when's the food ready? Because we do it all, right? We do it all. We
right.
have
Absolutely.
all these hats. But
And so to kind of wrap up, because we're on
yeah,
close to 20, to kind of wrap up, I guess maybe like a tip for our community. What has been one of the most, I mean, clearly your story from going from the islands to then having to transition into coming to America, learning a new language, learning a whole new culture, I should say. And now you're in a complete different space also with your move now, right?
yes,
So,
yes.
what would be something encouraging? Because clearly, like you're going through it, not having family and friends and starting like from kind of like rock bottom again, building back up. But in that mindset, because you were saying that you've been personally developing yourself with your habits and your mindset, and so now you're in a position where now you're in a new culture again, once again, but now you're in like you have like that force, like that power now, right? So, what would be something maybe encouraging that you can provide to our community that's listening, that can maybe for somebody that's just trying a new job or thinking about that move, or what would be something that you would ideally tell them for 2023?
As simple as do it. Don't think about it.
I love it. I love it.
Make it stop overthinking. We overthink.
Mm,
No,
same, yeah,
seriously, that's what I would say. Throughout whatever it is,
same. Yeah,
dieting, breaking up, buying a new house,
yeah,
taking that relationship,
yeah.
changing friendships. I
Mm,
don't care what it is, what aspect of life,
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah.
I think that we have a tendency of time traveling, and
Mm,
I'll talk about that another
yeah,
time. But
that'll definitely be another topic.
we would overthink and just put scenarios in our
Yeah,
brain that would just we're hinder ourselves
yeah.
from making that decision. Like, should I do it? And then not only that, then we start thinking, well, to justify it, maybe I should ask my mom, maybe I should ask this
Mm,
person what they think, or maybe I should ask my best friend, or
yeah,
no, 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 you. And
yeah,
then remember, it wasn't a decision for me. It was also a decision that I had to make. I'm married, so it was a decision that I had to make with my husband. He didn't want to do it at first. He was just like, ¿Qué se te metió ahora? Like, what got into you now?
Yeah.
And is this just a hunch, or is this for
Yeah.
real? Like, are you being for real? Like, you want to uproot us? Like, why?
Yeah.
And why not? So
Yeah.
these are things that to that person.
Yeah.
And again, I don't care what it is. If you're watching, I don't care what it is. If you want to break up with someone,
Yeah.
if you want to mend that relationship, if you want to change friendships, whatever it is, weight loss, whatever it is, don't overthink it. Just do it.
Mm, this.
Think about you.
Mm,
As selfish as that sound, you have to think about you, because as a mom, like I said earlier, we're the ones servicing everyone around us. Our family. We have to be there for yourself, and it's basically. And I'm gonna end it with this. It's basically like when you're in an airplane, and they tell the flight attendants are telling you, you need to put on your mask first and then help another person.
yeah.
That's basically it. You need to be that in that way, a sort of selfish, where you're doing it, yes, for yourself, but it's not because you're going to keep it and be it to you. That would be the selfish part, where you're not sharing it with another person. It's not selfish when you're thinking of you in order to then be there for everyone else,
Yeah.
because then it's like, if you run out of oxygen, then how can you help the person next to you? So
That's
you
good.
can't. You can't. So it all depends how you view it. Half empty, half full.
Yeah.
And it's just innate in us, as human beings, to overthink things or not do things out of fear, out of questioning,
Yeah.
and things like that. And you guys hear us. I'm actually happy that this was also a vision that
Yeah.
we had written and talked about in one of our kitchens, and just like, hey, what about if we do this? And
It's good.
we're like, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work, it didn't. And if it did, fantastic.
Yeah.
So we want to leave you with that. We want to welcome you into our community. If you're not part of our community, welcome to your dream wall. Speak for both of us when we say this. Share this with a friend. Don't share it. Listen, take notes, whatever it is. But we want to welcome you all with open arms. And
Yeah.
if you can relate just a little bit, stay tuned, because we will have so many good things to come. But
Yeah.
I do want to take it back a little bit and just say thank you to you as well, because this is something that you didn't have to do.
Yeah.
I remember just hearing your just the way you would talk about it, first of all, and this didn't even like just the things you wanted to do. I remember it didn't even have a name. It was just this thing you wanted to do with words, and it's like, what are we doing? What are
Yeah.
you know like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We didn't even have a name. We just
Right.
like, yeah, we're just doing things. And to share it together, we want you guys to understand that collaborations is the new thing. It's what's in here, right? Like, we're collaborating together. Collaborations is like the new flex, not competitions.
Absolutely.
And
Uh,
it's plausible. It's plausible. Two different backgrounds. You guys will hear it. Two
yeah.
Latinas with completely different backgrounds, where we're just coming in
Yeah.
and somehow doing it and making it happen. There's nothing special about us, nothing different. We have struggles on a daily basis, like she said at the beginning of the call. We could confide in each other for it, but it's what do we do to interrupt that and change that and not stay in that mindset. So with that being said, I want to divert back to you, ma'am. I
Yeah.
want to thank you. I understand, guys, that this is a powerhouse lady. She is the CEO behind this all. And we're just happy to be able to pour onto one another and just work together and be able to bring this to you guys. And hopefully for this to be a cool journey, because we're super excited about this. Even though we had so many technical difficulties, and here we are.
Yes. And so we have like 20 seconds left. So
Woo!
stay tuned for episode 2.
Yes.
I should say this is part one of episode one. So this is part one. So stay tuned with us. And thank you so much, Chelsea, for sharing
Thank you.
today. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye. Okay. Can we? Ooh. 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 Okay.